Today we're going to be talking about something that can feel quite complicated when you live with chronic pain, and it's movement. And so I'm just going to say this right up front. If you've ever thought, I know I should move more, don't need to tell me that, but I'm afraid it's going to make things worse. Well, if you've thought that, you are definitely not alone.
Yeah, and this is the right podcast to be listening to, right? Because we're going to be talking about that. People that I work with, people that you work with, honestly, the fear makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because movement, if it's hurt, if you've hurt when you've moved in the past, your brain remembers that, right? And it doesn't forget easily.
That's right.
It takes some work.
That's right. And I lived that way for a very long time.
Yep.
Movement didn't feel helpful. It felt risky. And you guys may recognize that as well. So there was a time when I really started to avoid all movement because every time I tried to do more, it felt like my pain got worse, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's real. It's a real fear and it's real pain.
Yeah. So I thought, well, maybe the answer is just to do less. If it hurts,
do less.
That's right.
Well, that makes sense, right? It makes sense from the outside. It makes sense from the inside, our brain, our body.
Yeah.
You were trying to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Way to go.
I wasn't trying to be lazy.
Nope.
Yeah, I was trying to be careful, right? So over time, though, as I laid down all the time, something started happening.
Laid down frequently.
Frequently, yeah. Not all the time, but I laid down a lot.
You rested a lot because that was what felt safe.
That's right. But over time, I started getting more stiff, actually more sore. I got weaker, and I got a lot more sensitive to pain. So even small things started to feel harder. So really, my pain overall wasn't getting any better. And I remember thinking, well, even that's not helping.
Yeah, I remember that stage. Pretty clearly. In fact, a lot of your 21 years of chronic pain. Well, I guess we call that your years of unmanaged chronic pain because you still have conditions.
Right.
You still have pain that you have to manage.
Right.
You've just learned how to manage it much better, which is really what this podcast is all about.
That's
telling
right.
your story, telling our story, our adventures together, right? And sharing the
lessons learned.
Lessons learned, right? And it really felt like you were stuck between two different options. And I think a lot of times that black and white thinking is where our brain goes, right? You either felt like, I got to do, and suffer the consequences, or I need to rest. And that felt right short term, but you discovered it really wasn't right long term.
That's right.
Neither of those really felt like the right solution.
Yeah, and there was a reason that was happening, wasn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so let's talk about why that matters, because the brain starts to associate certain movements with danger.
With danger,
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes even when there isn't actual harm happening, our brain still connects what has gone on in the past, right? Expectations are so important. And so our brain and our body are trying to protect us.
Yeah. And that was definitely happening with me. It wasn't just this movement hurts, but it actually, in my mind, might be making things worse. So I really couldn't win.
It really was a trap, wasn't it? Yeah. So once that association is there, right, that movement hurts, then your brain's saying, hey, if I'm trying to keep you safe, I need to keep you from moving. Let's not do whatever you did in the past, like yesterday or 5 minutes ago. Let's not do that, which unfortunately leads to less movement. Right?
Yeah, it makes things worse. So the hard part is that avoiding movement doesn't actually make us better long term. Yeah, it just makes everything feel more sensitive, right?
And it feels safer to your brain in the short term. Yeah, I guess that's part of the trap, right? Because the more movement stops in the short term, and then therefore the long term, the less confidence we have, right?
Oh yeah.
And so even those small movements end up feeling scary.
Yeah, yeah. And, confidence is really a big part of this, right? I needed to have the confidence that I could actually do some small movements without making my pain worse. So what started to shift things for me was learning that movement could actually be helpful. But I had to approach it differently.
Totally different mindset and approach and process and everything, right?
Yeah, that's right. I had to stop pushing myself. I had to stop forcing myself to do more than I really should do yet. Not trying to push through the pain, which I would go back and forth from resting too much to I just got to push through the pain. I got to get this done.
The roller coaster.
Yeah. We've talked about that in the past, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
So there's this important distinction here, right? Because a lot of people hear movement is medicine.
Yeah.
And interpret, you need to exercise more.
Which, if you're in pain, that feels not only overwhelming, but it also feels very invalidating, doesn't it?
It does, exactly. So I guess what we're talking about is movement. We're trying to help move, shift. I guess shift is a better word when we're talking about movement, right? We're trying to shift our brain's understanding of movement as being dangerous and scary. And we're trying to gently shift so that pain is now actually safe.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. We're not saying any of this is easy.
No.
Right?
No. And for
it's
me,
a real pain. Literally. Yes.
That's right. For me, that meant starting really small.
Really small.
Yeah. And honestly, usually smaller than I think would count.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you and you want to be a good patient.
Yeah.
Want to be making progress. Don't
That's
want
right.
to be a burden. Don't want to feel guilty about laying around so much and having other people help.
Yeah. That's such a good point, Jim. So it could start with gentle stretching, right? It could start with a short walk.
Yep.
I think in a couple of videos ago, we talked about walking to the door.
Yeah, I think that was last
the front
week.
door.
Yeah,
Walking to the front door.
The mailbox.
If that's all you can do, or maybe walk to the mailbox, and then not feel like you have to push a whole lot further the next time because, wow, that did not feel enough, is actually just building consistency.
And I think I might have told the story several episodes back about my recovering from surgery.
Right.
Where I was dumb.
Yeah.
And overdid it.
Yeah. If I can do 1 mile today, I can do 2 miles the next day.
Yes.
Or the next time.
Yeah, and that was not a good idea.
Yeah. So staying consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Debbie, you used to struggle, right? Folks struggle with taking steps, the movements, trying to make sure they're substantial enough to make a difference, right?
Yeah.
And I remember you had to really adjust to what does enough mean.
Yeah.
Right? Because is it substantial enough? Is it going to make a difference?
Yep.
Is it going to make my physical therapist happy with me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. My instinct once I decided to try something new was usually, well, if a little is good, then more must be better.
Absolutely. You
But
are
that
really
usually-
good.
That usually backfired on me.
Well, I think it almost always backfires, right? I mean, I think that's part of the challenge. That's the reason why we have a whole episode on movement. Is it is so important, but it is such a trap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a human instinct to want to do more, to want to achieve more, right? But with chronic pain, as you discovered, right, and you are probably discovering, consistency matters a whole lot more than doing. It's not how hard we work. It's how gentle and consistent we are, right?
Yeah, that's right. And, Jim, the biggest shift for me wasn't just physical. it was building confidence. Okay. So I had to start asking, what feels safe for me to do today, instead of how much can I do or should I do? And, changing that question changed how I approach movement.
Yeah, that's such a key, that mindset shift.
Yeah.
Well, we talk a lot about how this whole journey, there's a challenge of chronic pain, and a challenge with a lot of things in life, but especially chronic pain,
Yeah.
is the mindset shift, right? No longer focusing on performance. How much do I do? How much do I need to do? And a whole lot more with confidence, right?
That's right.
Confidence that you're working a process. A process going to bring long-term health, long-term growth.
Yeah.
And the work is not working harder now.
Yeah.
It's consistent, gentle movements now, right? You're building the relationship with your body and your brain and making that profound shift.
To
Right?
feel safe.
Yeah, feel safe.
Yeah. So if you're listening and thinking, okay, but where do I start? We say start small.
Start really small.
Yeah. Pick one movement, something that feels manageable, doesn't cause you a whole lot of pressure that I've got to do this or push myself, and something you can do regularly.
Yep.
You can repeat it regularly. You're trying to build consistency, because there's no need to keep pushing more and more until you're ready. And actually, even if you feel like you're ready, you might want to just be consistently staying with that for a little bit, because that's building confidence.
Consistency builds confidence.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you do nothing but something really, 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 really small
Yeah.
today, that's more important than some big step.
Yeah. And so consistency is not based on how good you feel that day, but it's based on what your system can handle regularly.
On a regular basis, yeah. It's the process.
Yeah, and that's the part that I had to learn the hard way, because consistency was important instead of pushing myself over and over. And often, really, that was often a result of the guilt I felt because I wasn't doing enough. I needed to catch up. I didn't want other people to have to do things for me. You guys probably know those feelings. But I needed to work on consistent, slow movements rather than pushing myself, which just put me back on the couch.
And back on the guilt train. Yeah. So it's also important to say movement might not feel perfect right away.
Yeah, that's important. And so the first thing is to make sure to check with your medical provider or your physical therapist that the movement you want to work on is safe for your condition. So that's really important. And then recognize that even then there's going to possibly be some hesitation and even some fear. But that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means your system is adjusting, and we work with it. You trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
And the process is gentle and consistent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's our 2 words for the day.
3 words. Gentle, consistent, and small.
Sounds good. Yeah, I like those 3.
Those will win in the long run.
Yeah. So if movement has felt scary or confusing for you, I really hope that this gives you a different way to think about it. You don't have to push. You don't have to force yourself. And you don't want to have to do what everybody else is doing.
Or what everybody else is expecting.
Or what everybody else is expecting.
Or what you think everybody else is expecting, right?
Yeah. You just have to start where you are, be comfortable with that, and build from there. Build gently, consistently, over time.
Over time.
Takes a little bit of time.
A long haul process perspective.
Yep. Because movement is not about proving something to yourself or somebody else. It's about doing what's best for your body.
It's redefining what movement means. Long term, one step at a time. Consistent, gentle, and what?
Small.
yeah, that's right.
Okay. So, very good. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being here with us today. And if this was helpful, we'd love for you to follow, subscribe, and also feel free to share any questions. Comment ways that you have found to get a little bit more movement in your days. And next week, we're going to continue these concepts that are so important by talking about profound baby steps. And we look forward to visiting again next time. And as always, remember, your pain is real and there is hope. And our goal is to help you have your pain in the rear view.